Manager need the new waitress in the face. Seconds later, the Mafia boss made him regret it. Lily Chen was on hour 12 of her shift, and her feet were screaming. Her first week as a waitress at Azure, one of Chicago's most exclusive restaurants, and she was drowning. The place was packed with suits and designer dresses, people who spent more on one meal than Lily made in a month. But she needed this job desperately. Her grandmother's medical bills were piling up, and Azure paid better than anywhere else she'd applied. The manager, Derek Stone, had been watching her all night with eyes that made her skin crawl. He was in his mid-30s, built like he spent too much time at the gym, and had a reputation among the staff. The other waitresses had warned Lily on her first day. Stay out of his way. Don't make mistakes. Don't give him a reason to notice you. Lily was carrying a tray of martinis to table 7, weaving through the crowded restaurant, when someone's chair pushed back without warning. She swerved to avoid it, and the tray tilted. One glass tumbled, splashing expensive vodka across the floor and onto a customer's shoe. Time stopped. The man whose shoe got wet looked annoyed, but waved it off. Lily immediately grabbed napkins, apologizing profusely, trying to clean up the mess as fast as possible. Her heart hammered. It was an accident. Anyone could see it was an accident. But Derek saw an opportunity. Chun. His voice cut through the restaurant chatter like a blade. Conversations died. Heads turned. Derek stormed across the floor, his face red with manufactured rage. What the hell do you think you're doing? I'm sorry, sir. Someone pushed their chair back, and I tried to avoid them, but I don't want excuses. Derek grabbed her arm hard enough to bruise, yanking her away from the table. You're making us look incompetent in front of our guests. Before we see what happens next, where are you watching from, and what's the time? If this story already has your blood boiling, smash that subscribe button, hit that like, and drop a comment telling me what you'd do if you saw this happen. Because what happens next is going to blow your mind. Now let's get back to the fire. Derek dragged Lily toward the center of the restaurant, making a spectacle of her failure. The other waitresses looked away, too scared to intervene. They'd seen Derek's temper before. Some had experienced it firsthand. You think you can just waltz in here and screw up like this? Derek's spit flew as he yelled. You think we hired you to destroy our reputation? Please, I'm sorry. It was an accident. Lily's voice shook. She tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. Accidents cost us money. Accidents lose us customers. Derek's hand moved to the back of her neck, forcing her to look down at the spilled drink. You're going to clean every inch of this floor with your bare hands. Lily dropped to her knees, humiliation burning through her. She reached for napkins, tears stinging her eyes. This was her first week. She couldn't lose this job. Her grandmother needed her medication. They needed to make rent. She was on her hands and knees, wiping up vodka, when Derek's boot pressed against her shoulder. Faster. Lily worked faster, her hands shaking. The entire restaurant was watching. She could feel their eyes on her, could feel the judgment, the pity, the discomfort. But nobody said anything. Nobody stopped him. Then Derek's knee came up fast and brutal, connecting with her face. The impact sent Lily sprawling backward. Pain exploded through her nose, her cheekbone. She tasted blood immediately, felt it pouring down her face. The room spun. She heard gasps, heard someone scream, but it all sounded far away and underwater. Derek stood over her, breathing hard, looking satisfied. That's what happens when you cost me money. Lily curled on the floor, hands covering her face, blood seeping through her fingers. She couldn't breathe right. Something was broken. Her nose, maybe her cheekbone. Pain radiated through her skull in waves that made her want to throw up. The restaurant had gone completely silent. Shocked silence. The kind that follows violence nobody expected to witness over dinner. Then a chair scraped. The sound was loud in the silence, deliberate. Lily couldn't see through her tears and blood, but she heard footsteps. Measured. Controlled. Moving toward them with purpose. A voice spoke, and it was quiet, but somehow carried to every corner of the restaurant. Did you just assault that woman? Derek turned, irritation crossing his face. This is employee discipline. It's none of your concern. Employee discipline. The voice was cold now, sharp as winter ice. You put your hands on her. You need her in the face. In front of witnesses. And you call that discipline. Lily blinked through her tears, trying to focus. The man speaking was tall, dark-haired, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her car. He had the kind of presence that made people notice, made them move out of his way without being asked. and his eyes, when they landed on Derek, held something lethal. Derek puffed up, trying to assert authority. Look, I don't know who you think you are, but this is my restaurant and my employee. How I handle my staff is my business. Your restaurant. The man's smile was sharp and dangerous. Interesting, because I own this building, which means technically it's my restaurant, and you just assaulted someone on my property. The color drained from Derek's face. Other diners were standing now, phones out, recording. Derek looked around desperately and saw his world changing in real time. 3 other men stood from the table where the dark-haired man had been sitting. They were big, dressed well, and they moved with the kind of coordination that came from working together a long time. One of them stepped closer to Lily, blocking Derek's path to her. Mr. DeLuca, one of the staff whispered, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. The name rippled through the restaurant like electricity. Vincenzo DeLuca. Everyone in Chicago knew that name, even if they'd never seen his face. The Moretti family controlled most of the city's underground operations, and Enzo DeLuca was the man who ran it all. Derek's face went from red to white to gray. His mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. Enzo moved past Derek without another glance, kneeling beside Lily with a gentleness that contradicted everything his reputation suggested. Let me see. Lily tried to pull away, tried to hide her face, but Enzo's hands were careful as he moved hers aside. His expression darkened when he saw the damage. Her nose was definitely broken, blood still flowing freely. Her eye was already swelling shut. Marco, Enzo said quietly. One of his men stepped forward immediately. Call Dr. Russo. Tell him I need him at my place in 30 minutes. This is urgent. I'm fine, Lily tried to say, but it came out garbled. Blood filled her mouth. You're not fine. You have a broken nose at minimum and possibly a fractured cheekbone. Enzo pulled out an expensive-looking handkerchief and pressed it gently against her face. I'm going to get you help. But first, I'm going to deal with him. Enzo stood slowly, turning to face Derek. Every eye in the restaurant was on them. Phones were recording. This moment would be on social media within minutes. Here's what's going to happen, Enzo said, his voice conversational but cold as death. You're going to call an ambulance for this woman. Then you're going to call your boss and explain why his establishment just became a liability. Then you're going to pray that I don't pursue charges for assault that occurred on my property. Mr. DeLuca, please, I didn't know. You didn't know she was under my protection? She wasn't. Until now. Enzo's smile was sharp. But let me be clear. What you did would be unacceptable regardless of whose protection she was under. You assaulted a woman for spilling a drink. You used your position of power to brutalize someone weaker than you. That makes you a coward and a criminal. Derek tried to speak, to explain, to grovel. But Enzo held up a hand. I'm not finished. Touch her again. Threaten her. Go anywhere near her. And you'll discover that there are consequences in this world that courts don't handle. Do you understand me? Derek nodded frantically, all his earlier bravado gone. Enzo turned back to Lily, his expression softening. Can you stand? She nodded, and he helped her up with surprising gentleness. The room spun, but Enzo's hand on her arm kept her steady. I'm taking her to get medical attention, Enzo announced to the restaurant at large. If anyone has footage of what happened here tonight, I'd appreciate copies. My lawyers will be in touch. As Enzo guided Lily toward the exit, she heard Derek starting to panic behind them, heard him calling someone on his phone, his voice desperate. But it all faded as they stepped outside into the cool night air. The ride to Enzo's penthouse was a blur of pain and confusion. Lily sat in the back of the most expensive car she'd ever been in, pressing Enzo's blood-soaked handkerchief to her face, while one of his men drove with smooth precision. Enzo sat beside her, making quiet phone calls in Italian that she couldn't understand. Dr. Russo will meet us there, Enzo said after hanging up. He's the best. He'll make sure everything heals properly. I can't afford a private doctor. Lily's voice came out thick and nasal from the blood and swelling. I can barely afford the clinic. You're not paying. I am. Why? The question burst out of her. You don't even know me. Why are you helping me? Enzo was quiet for a moment, studying her with dark eyes that had probably seen too much. Because what happened tonight was wrong. Because men like Derek Stone get away with that behavior. Because people look the other way. And because I watched you trying to do your job, watched you apologize for something that wasn't your fault, and then watched him assault you for being human. Tears mixed with the blood on Lily's face. Everyone just watched. All those people, and nobody did anything. I did something. And by morning, everyone in this city will know what Derek Stone is. They arrived at a building that screamed wealth and power. The penthouse took up the entire top floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Chicago's glittering skyline. Dr. Russo was already waiting, a kind-faced man in his 60s with a medical bag that probably cost more than Lily's entire wardrobe. "Let's take a look," Dr. Russo said gently, guiding Lily to sit down. He examined her with practiced efficiency, his touch careful. Broken nose, as suspected. Fractured cheekbone. Severe bruising. "You're going to need some time to heal, young lady. I can't take time off. I need to work." Enzo, who'd been standing by the window making more calls, turned. "You're not going back to Azure. But I need the job. My grandmother's medical bills are handled." Enzo's tone left no room for argument. "You're not working anywhere until you're healed. Your wages will be covered. Your grandmother's medical expenses will be handled. And when you're ready to work again, you'll have a position at one of my legitimate businesses. Better pay, better hours, and I guarantee no one will put their hands on you." Lily stared at him. "Why are you doing all this?" "Because I can. And because someone should have done it long before tonight." Dr. Russo set her nose, which hurt worse than the initial break. He bandaged her face, gave her pain medication, and left instructions for care. After he left, Lily sat on Enzo's ridiculously expensive couch, feeling like she'd stepped into an alternate universe. "Where do you live?" Enzo asked. "South Side. Small apartment with my grandmother. Is it safe there?" Lily thought about the gunshots she heard most nights, the dealers on the corner, the break-ins that happened regularly. "Safe enough." Enzo's expression said he didn't believe her. "You'll stay here tonight. Guest room is down the hall. Tomorrow, we'll discuss long-term arrangements." "I can't stay here. I don't even know you. You know I just stopped a man from hurting you further. You know I got you medical care. You know I'm offering you protection and employment." Enzo sat across from her, his expression serious. "What you don't know is that my reputation is based on fear and respect in equal measure. But I have rules. I don't hurt innocents. I don't tolerate abuse of power. And I protect people who deserve protecting. Why do you care if I deserve protecting? Because you stopped to help someone once, didn't you? I can see it in you. The kind of person who does the right thing even when it costs you." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "My grandmother raised me that way. She said kindness matters, even when the world is cruel." "Your grandmother is right." Enzo stood. "Get some rest. Tomorrow, we'll start fixing the mess Derek Stone made of your life." But Derek wasn't done. While Lily slept in a guest room more luxurious than anywhere she'd ever stayed, Derek was spiraling. His boss had called within an hour of the incident, screaming about liability and lawsuits and the fact that Vincenzo DeLuca now had footage of Derek assaulting an employee on property he owned. Derek was fired effective immediately, banned from the premises. His final paycheck would be withheld pending legal review. And worse, the video had already hit social media. Within hours, it had gone viral. Derek Stone kneeing a young waitress in the face while she cleaned up a spilled drink. The comments were brutal. Calls for his arrest. People identifying him, sharing his information. Other women coming forward with stories of their own encounters with Derek's temper. A pattern emerging that painted a picture of a man who'd been abusing his authority for years. By morning, Derek's life was in ruins. He'd been fired. His reputation was destroyed. The police were investigating based on the viral video. And worst of all, he'd made an enemy of Vincenzo DeLuca. Lily woke up to sunlight streaming through windows and the smell of coffee. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then the pain in her face reminded her, and yesterday's nightmare came flooding back. She found Enzo in the kitchen, dressed casually in jeans and a black shirt, reading something on his tablet. He looked up when she entered. "How's the pain?" "Manageable. The medicine Dr. Russo gave me helps." "Good. Sit. I made breakfast." He gestured to the counter where food was laid out. Simple but elegant. Toast, eggs, fruit, coffee. Lily sat gingerly, trying not to move her face too much. "You cook." "I do a lot of things people don't expect." Enzo poured her coffee. "We need to discuss Derek Stone." Lily's stomach clenched. "What about him?" "The video of what he did went viral last night. He's been fired, the police are investigating, and several other women have come forward with similar stories. He has a history of this behavior that his previous employers covered up." "Other women?" Lily's voice was small. He's done this before? Multiple times. Settlements were paid. NDAs were signed. The pattern was buried under money and lawyers. Enzo's expression was hard. That ends now. I've contacted the best attorneys in the city. They're offering pro bono representation to any woman Derek harmed. We're building a case that will ensure he never works in this industry again. Why are you going this far? Because men like Derek don't stop unless someone stops them. Because those other women deserve justice and didn't get it. And because I have the resources to make sure this time, there are real consequences. Lily took a shaky sip of coffee. I don't understand you. Everyone says you're dangerous, that you run criminal operations. But you're helping me like I matter. I am dangerous. I do run operations that exist outside the law. But I have a code. I don't hurt innocents. I don't tolerate abuse of the weak. And I use my power to protect people who need protecting. Enzo met her eyes. You matter, Lily. What happened to you matters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Over the next few days, Lily stayed at Enzo's penthouse while her face healed. He was surprisingly easy to be around, respectful of her space, careful not to make her uncomfortable, but present when she needed someone to talk to. He showed her the legitimate side of his business empire. Restaurants, clubs, real estate holdings. Places that operated entirely above board and employed hundreds of people. He offered her a position managing one of his upscale cafes when she was ready. Better pay than Azure, better hours, and a work environment he personally guaranteed was safe. Why are you really doing all this? Lily asked one evening as they sat on his terrace watching the sunset paint Chicago gold and orange. Because I was 8 years old when I watched my uncle beat my aunt for burning dinner. I was too small to stop him, too powerless. I swore that day that when I had power, I'd use it differently. Enzo's voice was quiet. I'm not a good man, Lily. I've done things that keep me up at night, but I draw lines. And men who put their hands on women cross one of those lines. Your aunt, is she okay? She left him eventually. I made sure she had the resources to stay gone. She lives in California now. Safe. Happy. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Lily's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You ruined my life. I'll make you pay for this. Enzo saw her face change. What is it? She showed him the text. Enzo's expression went cold and hard. He made a call, speaking rapid Italian. Within 10 minutes, Marco arrived with 2 other men. Enzo showed them the threatening text, and Marco's face went hard as stone. Derek Stone sent this? Most likely. Trace the number. Find out where he is. And make it clear that threatening someone under my protection has consequences. Enzo's voice was ice. No violence. I want this handled legally, but I want him to understand that his games are over. After Marco left, Enzo turned to Lily. You're safe here. I promise you that. Derek can't touch you. For how long? I can't hide in your penthouse forever. Eventually, I have to go back to my life. Then we make your life safe. Your grandmother's apartment building, I'm purchasing it. Security will be installed. Cameras, guards, the works. Your new job will have the same level of protection. And Derek will be dealing with legal problems that make threatening you the least of his concerns. You can't just rearrange my entire life. I'm not rearranging it. I'm protecting it. Enzo sat across from her. Lily, men like Derek don't stop. He's lost everything and he blames you. If I don't make it clear that you're untouchable, he'll try again. Let me do this. Lily wanted to argue, wanted to maintain her independence, but fear won. That text had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. Okay, but I'm paying you back. Somehow. Eventually. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. And I always pay my debts. Enzo smiled slightly. You're stubborn. My grandmother says it's my worst quality. I think it might be your best. Over the next week, Enzo's team worked efficiently. Derek's threatening text was traced back to a burner phone, but surveillance footage placed him near the store where it was purchased. More evidence for the police investigation. His other victims came forward with their stories, and the case against him grew stronger. Meanwhile, Lily's grandmother was moved to a better apartment in the building Enzo now owned. The medical bills that had been crushing them disappeared, paid in full by an anonymous benefactor. And Lily started training for her new position managing Cafe Bella, one of Enzo's upscale coffee shops in a good neighborhood. The staff there was friendly, professional, and when they learned Lily was under Mr. DeLuca's personal protection, they treated her with instant respect. Not fear, but genuine welcome. Mr. DeLuca doesn't usually take such personal interest in employees. Maria, the assistant manager, said during Lily's first training shift. You must be special. I'm just someone who needed help. And he helped you. That's what makes you special. Maria smiled. Mr. DeLuca has a reputation. Some of it deserved, some of it exaggerated. But everyone who works for him knows he takes care of his people. You're safe here, Lily. Lily was starting to believe it. Her face was healing. The swelling had gone down, and the bruises were fading to yellow-green. She felt stronger, more confident. The fear that had lived in her chest since Derek's attack was slowly being replaced by something else. Purpose. But Derek wasn't finished. 2 weeks after the attack, he showed up outside Cafe Bella. He'd been drinking, his clothes wrinkled, his face unshaven. The put-together manager was gone, replaced by a desperate man whose world had collapsed. Lily was closing up. Maria had left 10 minutes earlier, and she was alone in the cafe doing final counts. She didn't see Derek approach until he was pounding on the locked glass door. Lily, I know you're in there. We need to talk. Her blood turned to ice. She grabbed her phone, fingers shaking as she pulled up Enzo's number. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? Derek's here, outside the cafe. He's drunk and he's trying to get in. Lock yourself in the back office. Now, don't open the door for anyone except me or my security. I'm 5 minutes away. Lily ran to the back office, slamming the door and turning the deadbolt. She could still hear Derek outside, his voice rising as he shouted her name, as he pounded on the glass. You destroyed my life. Everything I worked for, gone because of you. You think DeLuca can protect you forever? You think I'm just going to disappear? Lily huddled in the office, phone clutched in her hand, counting the seconds. 2 minutes. 3. Derek's shouting got louder, more incoherent. She heard glass break and fear shot through her. He'd thrown something through the window. Then she heard sirens. Multiple vehicles screeching to a stop. Enzo's voice, cutting through Derek's rambling like a knife. Step away from the building. Now. DeLuca. Of course you'd show up. Can't let your little pet face consequences alone. The only person facing consequences here is you. The police are 30 seconds behind me. You just broke a window of my establishment while making threats. That's destruction of property and attempted assault. I didn't assault anyone. You broke into my cafe where my employee is working alone after hours. That's breaking and entering. You've been sending threatening texts. That's harassment. And you're violating the restraining order Lily filed yesterday. Enzo's voice was deadly calm. You had a chance to walk away, Derek. To leave the city, start over somewhere else. You chose to come back and threaten her again. Police cars pulled up then, lights flashing. Officers emerged, assessing the scene. Derek stood surrounded, drunk and belligerent, his life in ruins around him. Enzo knocked on the back office door. Lily, it's me. You're safe. Can you open up? Lily's hands shook as she unlocked the deadbolt. The door opened, and there was Enzo, his expression soft with concern when he looked at her, hard as stone when he glanced back toward where police were arresting Derek. Are you hurt? No. Scared, but not hurt. She looked past him at the broken window, at Derek being handcuffed, and read his rights. Is it really over? Yes. He violated a restraining order, destroyed property, and made direct threats in front of witnesses. He's going to jail, Lily. For real this time. No settlements. No lawyers making it disappear. He'll serve time for what he did to you and the other women. Lily's legs gave out. Enzo caught her, guided her to a chair, knelt in front of her. Breathe. It's over. He can't hurt you anymore. I was so scared. When I heard the glass break, I thought. I know. But you did exactly right. You called me. You locked yourself in a safe place. You waited for help. You were smart and brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt terrified. Bravery isn't not being scared. It's being scared and doing the right thing anyway. Enzo's hand covered hers. You're stronger than you think, Lily Chen. The police needed statements. Lily gave hers, her voice shaking but clear. Derek was taken away in handcuffs, still shouting incoherently about injustice and revenge. The officers assured her he wouldn't make bail this time. Too many violations, too much evidence, too much public attention on the case. Enzo drove Lily home personally that night. Not to his penthouse, but to her grandmother's new apartment in the secured building. Her grandmother, Rosa, answered the door and immediately pulled Lily into a fierce hug. I heard what happened. Are you okay? I'm okay, Grandma. Mr. DeLuca made sure I was safe. Rosa looked at Enzo with sharp eyes that had seen a lot of life. You're the man who's been helping my granddaughter. Yes, ma'am. People say you're dangerous. They're not wrong. Rosa studied him for a long moment. But you protected my Lily. You gave her a job, paid our bills, made sure that animal who hurt her faced justice. That tells me what kind of man you really are. Your granddaughter is remarkable, Mrs. Chen. She deserved better than what happened to her. I just made sure she got it. She is remarkable. And she raised herself right, my Lily. Always helping others. Always seeing the good in people. Rosa smiled. I think maybe she saw the good in you too, Mr. DeLuca. Enzo glanced at Lily, something soft in his expression. Maybe she did. After Enzo left, Rosa made tea and they sat together in the comfortable new apartment. He cares about you, that man. He barely knows me, Grandma. I've lived 73 years. I know what it looks like when a man cares. He looks at you like you're precious. Rosa sipped her tea. Are you going to let him in? Really let him in? I don't know. His world is dangerous. And I'm nobody special. You're everything special. Don't let what Derek did make you forget your worth. Rosa took Lily's hand. That Enzo, he's a complicated man. But complicated doesn't mean bad. Sometimes the most complicated people are the ones who fight hardest to do right. Lily thought about that as she lay in bed that night. Enzo had turned her life upside down in the best possible way. He'd protected her, believed in her, made sure she was safe when no one else had cared. And somewhere along the way, she'd started to care about him too. The next morning, Lily went back to work at Cafe Bella. The broken window had already been replaced, the glass cleaned up. There was no evidence of Derek's attack except the police report and the memory. Enzo stopped by around noon, ostensibly to check on repairs, but really to check on Lily. She knew the difference now, could see the concern in his eyes even when his expression stayed neutral. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. Grandma says I'm tougher than I look. Your grandmother is wise. Enzo smiled. Derek's bail was denied. The judge cited flight risk and danger to others. He'll be held until trial. Relief flooded through Lily. So it's really over. The threat from him, yes. The trial will take time, but the outcome isn't in doubt. Too much evidence, too many witnesses, too much public attention. He's going to prison, Lily. For years. What about the other women? The ones he hurt before me. They're getting their day in court too. Some of them are filing civil suits now that the criminal case is solid. Derek Stone's life as he knew it is finished. Lily should have felt satisfaction. Instead, she felt something more complex. I keep thinking about how many people knew. How many times he did this and got away with it because people looked the other way. That's why what you did matters. You didn't stay quiet. You let me help you. And because of that, he can't hurt anyone else. 3 months later, Derek Stone stood in court and pled guilty to multiple charges. Assault, harassment, destruction of property, violating a restraining order. The evidence was overwhelming. The video that had gone viral. The testimonies from 7 different women. The pattern of abuse that stretched back years. Lily sat in the courtroom with Enzo beside her. She'd been nervous about facing Derek again, even from across a courtroom, but Enzo's steady presence kept her grounded. When Derek's eyes found hers, there was no threat in them anymore. Just defeat. Just a man who'd finally run out of places to hide. The judge sentenced him to 4 years in prison, followed by probation and mandatory anger management. It wasn't enough to undo the damage he'd caused, but it was something. It was justice. Outside the courthouse, the other women gathered. Sarah, who Derek had put in the hospital 2 years ago. Monica, who'd been forced to sign an NDA and take a settlement. Jessica, who'd quit her dream job because Derek made it unbearable. And 3 others, all with their own stories of Derek's cruelty. Thank you, Sarah said to Lily. For not staying quiet. For fighting back. Because of you, we all got to tell our stories. We all got justice. I didn't do it alone, Lily said, glancing at Enzo. Someone stood up for me when no one else would. The women looked at Enzo with a mixture of fear and gratitude. His reputation preceded him, but they understood that sometimes power could be used for good. Sometimes the dangerous man was the one who protected you from worse dangers. Over the following months, Lily thrived. Cafe Bella became her domain. She learned the business inside and out, managed the staff with kindness and competence, and turned the cafe into one of the most popular spots in the neighborhood. Customers loved the atmosphere, the quality, and the genuine warmth that Lily brought to every interaction. She also went back to school, business management, with Enzo's financial support. He'd offered it casually one evening over dinner, said she had a natural talent for management and should develop it formally. Lily had tried to refuse, but Enzo was stubborn when he wanted to be. Consider it an investment. You're going to run multiple locations for me someday. I want you properly trained. Multiple locations? I'm barely managing one. You're managing it brilliantly. And you're going to manage more. Trust me on this. Lily did trust him. Somewhere along the way, Enzo had become the person she trusted most in the world. They'd spent so much time together over the months. Working dinners that turned into late-night conversations. Coffee meetings that stretched into afternoons. Moments where the line between boss and employee, between protector and protected, blurred into something more. Rosa noticed, of course. Grandmothers always noticed. When are you going to tell that man you love him? Grandma. Lily felt her face heat. It's not like that. He's my boss. He's the man who looks at you like you hung the moon. And you look at him the same way. Don't waste time pretending otherwise. Life's too short. But Lily was scared. Enzo's world was complicated. Dangerous. He'd protected her, yes, but he'd also been honest about what he was. The legitimate businesses were just one part of his empire. The other part existed in shadows, dealt with things Lily couldn't fully understand. Could she love a man like that? Could she build a life with someone whose phone might ring at 3 in the morning with problems she couldn't help solve? The answer came on a quiet Tuesday evening 6 months after Derek's sentencing. Lily was closing Cafe Bella when Enzo showed up, unannounced, looking tired in a way she rarely saw. Bad day? She asked, locking the door behind him. Complicated day. Needed to see something good. He smiled slightly. You're something good, Lily. Her heart stuttered. Enzo, I know this is unprofessional. I know I'm your boss, and I shouldn't say things like that. But I'm tired of pretending I don't feel what I feel. He crossed to her, his eyes intense. You changed my life that night. Not because you needed saving, but because you reminded me why any of this matters. The power, the money, the influence. It's meaningless unless you use it to protect people who deserve protecting. You saved me, Lily whispered. When everyone else looked away, you stopped him. We saved each other. Enzo's hand came up, cupping her face gently, careful of the scars that had faded but never quite disappeared. You made me want to be better. You made me remember that I'm human, not just a boss. And I'm in love with you, Lily Chen. Completely. Hopelessly. Tears filled Lily's eyes. I'm in love with you too. I have been for months. But your world is dangerous. I know. And I can't promise you a normal life. Can't promise there won't be complications. But I can promise I'll protect you with everything I have. I can promise I'll respect you, value you, treat you like the treasure you are. And I can promise I'll love you for the rest of my life if you'll let me. Lily's answer was a kiss. Soft at first, then deeper, full of everything she'd been holding back for months. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Enzo rested his forehead against hers. Is that a yes? That's a yes. To all of it. The complications, the danger, the life that isn't normal. As long as I'm with you. You're sure? Because once you're really in my life, Lily, once you're mine, I don't let go. I protect what's mine forever. Then I guess you're stuck with me. She smiled through her tears. Because I don't let go either. They built a life together over the next year. Lily graduated with her business degree and Enzo made good on his promise. She managed 3 Cafe Bella locations by the end of that year, with plans for more. She was brilliant at it, combining her grandmother's wisdom about treating people right with formal business knowledge that maximized profits without sacrificing quality. Enzo's legitimate empire grew with Lily's input. She had ideas about community investment, about using their resources to help neighborhoods rather than just extract profit from them. She convinced him to fund a program that gave free job training to people trying to escape bad situations, to offer second chances to people who needed them. You're making me soft, Enzo teased one evening as they reviewed proposals for a new community center. I'm making you better, Lily corrected. There's a difference. Rose's health improved with the stress of financial worry gone. She volunteered at the community center, teaching cooking classes to kids who reminded her of Lily at that age. She watched her granddaughter bloom into a confident, powerful woman and took pride in knowing she'd raised her right. Derek remained in prison. Lily never visited, never thought about him unless asked. He'd tried to break her and failed. She built something beautiful from the ashes of that nightmare, and that was the best revenge she could imagine. One evening, exactly 2 years after the night Derek had attacked her, Enzo took Lily back to Azure. The restaurant had new management now, trained by Enzo's people to treat staff with respect. The entire culture had changed, and word had spread. Azure was now known as the best place to work in Chicago's restaurant scene. They sat at a private table, and Enzo pulled out a small velvet box. Lily's breath caught. 2 years ago, I watched a man assault you in this restaurant. I watched people look away and do nothing. And I decided that night that I was going to use my power differently, that I was going to protect you. Enzo opened the box, revealing a ring that caught the light like captured starfire. You changed my life, Lily. You made me remember why power matters. Not for control, but for protection. Not for fear, but for justice. Marry me. Build this empire with me. Show me every day how to be the man you see when you look at me. Lily's tears fell freely now. Yes. 1,000 times yes. The ring slid onto her finger perfectly. Around them, the restaurant staff who'd been watching began to applaud. These were people who knew Lily's story, who knew what this moment meant. Some were crying. Others were cheering. All of them understood they were witnessing something rare. Real love built from real respect. They married 3 months later in a ceremony that mixed Enzo's world with Lily's. Powerful men in expensive suits sat beside Rose's friends from the old neighborhood. Lily's staff from all the Cafe Bella locations attended. The women Derek had hurt came, celebrating not just Lily's happiness, but the justice they'd all finally received. Lily wore a dress that made her feel like a queen. Enzo wore a suit that probably cost more than most cars. But when they stood at the altar and made their vows, none of the external things mattered. Just the promises they made to each other. To protect. To cherish. To build something good in a complicated world. To use power for justice instead of cruelty. To love fiercely and completely for all the days they had. When Enzo kissed his bride, when Lily became Mrs. DeLuca, the applause was deafening. Rosa sobbed happy tears. Marco, Enzo's head of security who'd become one of Lily's closest friends, wiped his eyes quickly and pretended he wasn't emotional. At the reception, Lily stood looking out at everyone they'd gathered. Her family, Enzo's family, the people they'd helped over the past 2 years, the community they'd built. Enzo came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about that night. About how terrified I was. About how Derek tried to break me and instead broke himself. About how you stepped in when no one else would. Best decision I ever made. Mine too. Letting you help me. Letting you in. Building this life with you. We've built something good, haven't we? We've built something amazing. Lily turned in his arms, looking up at the man who'd saved her and let her save him right back. And we're just getting started. Years later, when people asked Lily about her success, about the chain of Cafe Bella locations that stretched across 3 states, about the community programs that had changed thousands of lives, she always told them the same thing. Success started the night someone stood up for her when everyone else looked away. It started when someone showed her that power could protect instead of harm. It started when she learned that being saved didn't make you weak, and saving someone didn't make you their owner. She and Enzo built an empire together, one based on respect, justice, and the understanding that the most powerful thing you can do is stand up for someone who can't stand up for themselves. Derek Stone served his time and disappeared after release. Lily never thought about him. He tried to break her and instead gave her the catalyst to become someone extraordinary. And every year on the anniversary of that terrible night, Lily and Enzo donated to organizations that helped abuse survivors. They funded legal aid for people who couldn't afford representation. They created programs that gave second chances to people trying to escape bad situations. Because they both understood that sometimes one moment, one person standing up and saying, "This is wrong," could change everything. If this story moved you, if you felt Lily's journey from victim to victor, if Enzo's transformation from feared boss to protector hit you right in the chest, then you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button right now because we're telling stories that matter, stories about real justice and real love. Hit that like, drop a comment telling me what part of this story got you the most, and let me know what kind of fire you want next.